Okay, well, our next speaker, Rachel Williams, is a biologist for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service located in Bishop, California. Oh, she was sitting right behind me. Okay, she is here.
Thank you. So today I'm going to be discussing successional trajectories in sagebrush communities following conifer removal, and more specifically, how pre-treatment tree dominance and the type of treatment used influences succession following tree removal. So as we've heard today, pinyon and juniper have been expanding and infilling throughout the West. This leads to a decreased habitat quality for wildlife that is dependent upon sagebrush and grassland habitats. Also leads to altered fire regimes and increases in soil erosion through increases in bare ground. And as tree cover increases, shrub and grass cover decrease. So conifer removal has been used in an effort to restore structure and function to these systems, but residual species that are present on the site at the time of restoration are very important in steering succession following tree removal. So through the influence that tree dominance plays on the understory vegetation, it's important in steering succession. So I'm going to be discussing tree dominance index, which is basically just relative tree cover. So it's the ratio of tree cover to tall shrub or tall grass cover, shrub cover, and tree cover. And to help you visualize, I've broken it up into the three phases of juniper encroachment. So phase 1 is a TDI of 0 to 0.34, and that's where the trees are sparse, and it's a grass shrub dominated site. A TDI of above 0.34 to 0.67 is phase 2, so the trees, shrubs, and grasses are co-dominant. And then a TDI of 0.67 and above is where the trees are dominant and the understory is sparse. So our research questions were, how does pre-treatment tree dominance and the type of treatment used influence succession following tree removal? And how do these factors influence the ecosystem resilience and resistance on the site? So we had 10 study sites throughout the West. We had 1 in Northern California, 3 in Oregon, 3 in Nevada, and 3 in Utah. And we used a randomized complete block design. Each site received 2 treatments and an untreated control. And those 3 treatments were randomly assigned to 8 to 20 hectare treatment plots. And then within those treatment plots, we established 15.1 hectare subplots, and they were established to span a gradient of tree dominance index. So our 2 treatment methods were prescribed fire, which consisted of low to moderate severity broadcast burns that were applied between August and November. And these reduced the tree canopy to less than 5%. Our cut treatments involved cutting the trees with chainsaws and leaving the slash along the contour, and they were applied the fall after the burn and reduced tree cover to less than 1%. So our analysis was a mixed model analysis of covariance with treatment, year since treatment, and location as our factors, and tree dominance index as our covariate. We also used the Tukey's test to identify differences between treatment and year since treatment interactions, and treatment and year since treatment times TDI interactions for each 0.05 increment of TDI from 0 to 1. So for this study, we are defining ecological resistance as our system's ability to resist cheatgrass invasion following treatment. And for this, we're using a reference state of a TDI of 0 on our untreated sites to compare. And ecological resilience will be indicated through an increase in perennial herbaceous cover and shrub cover following conifer removal, and again, using a reference state of TDI equals 0. So what we found was that as TDI increases, the shrubs are lost more rapidly from the sites than perennial grasses. So by a TDI of 0.5, we'd already lost 3/4 of our potential shrub cover. And sagebrush cover especially was extremely low at high TDI, reducing down to less than 1% at a TDI of 1. So for our treatments, we saw, obviously after our burn treatments, a decline in sagebrush cover and density at all but the very highest TDI, which is because at high TDI we had already lost most of our shrubs. Our cut treatments were able to maintain our shrub cover across TDI, and they also saw a greater increase in sagebrush cover from year 3 to 6 following treatment, increasing 2.7%. So you can see on the graphs below that total shrub cover increased 6 years following treatment, almost to it wasn't significantly different from our untreated plots, whereas sagebrush cover remained low, and this is likely because some of our other shrubs, like rabbitbrush, are sprouting species, so after fire, they can resprout from the roots, whereas sagebrush cannot. So this illustrates that point. On the left, you see pre-treatment for cut and burn, and on the right, you see 3 years following treatment. On the burn, we've lost most of our sagebrush. So cheatgrass increased on both cut and burn at mid to high levels of TDI, actually increasing across all TDI on our burns. But these results varied dramatically by site. So you can see on this graph our study sites along the bottom. So we have untreated, burn, and cut, and pre-treatment, and then 6 years following treatment cheatgrass cover. So some of our sites showed a large response, even when their pre-treatment cheatgrass cover was low, and some had higher cheatgrass cover pre-treatment and had more moderate response. So this highlights the fact that we're going to have some site differences. Warmer, drier sites are likely going to have a larger response from cheatgrass following treatment. Our tall grass cover initially was set back on our burns, but by 6 years following treatment, it had recovered to the level seen on our untreated. Tall grass increased on our burn and our cut at a high TDI, and this is probably because at a high TDI we had lower shrub cover and higher available soil moisture following conifer removal. So this shows that the tall grasses are recovering on our sites even at a high TDI, but especially recovering on our cut. So bare ground is important in limiting erosion, and we saw decreases of 9% on both of our conifer removal treatments. There was a non-significant decrease in bare ground on our untreated of 4%. So this graph helps to kind of summarize our results for ecosystem resilience. I'm just going to take a second to explain it to you. So the various colored bars are functional group cover 6 years after treatment, increasing with TDI across the x-axis, and the y-axis is cover difference between functional group cover 6 years following treatment and the functional group cover at a TDI of 0 or our reference state. So what we're looking for and what would be indicative of ecosystem resilience would be functional group cover that is most similar to our reference state or closer to the 0 line on this graph. So you can see that our cut treatments resulted in higher ecosystem resilience and functional group cover that was most similar to our reference state. So to summarize, as tree cover increases, you get a decrease in habitat quality for sagebrush obligate species. You begin to lose your tall grasses and shrubs, and you get increases in bare ground. If you burn, you get increases in cheatgrass. You still get your increases in tall grass, but you've lost your shrub component, and you're still getting a reduction in bare ground. If you cut, you still get increases in cheatgrass, but it's more moderate than that seen on the fire. You get increases in tall grass cover and increases in your shrub cover, and still are seeing this reduction in bare ground. So our recommendations are to treat at low to mid stages of infilling and to avoid prescribed fire where you are wanting a shrub grass mix for wildlife. If you're cutting at a high TDI or if you're burning at any stage, you're going to lose your shrubs and end up with an herbaceous dominated site, and you're going to get increases in cheatgrass. And obviously, these are regional responses, so these are going to vary by site depending on soil temperature regimes and other factors, with warmer, drier sites being more prone to cheatgrass. So with that, I'll take questions. Yeah, can you repeat that? Sorry. No, we did not look at that. All right, thank you.